Hey people, it is Sunday, February the 25th. The time is 2:45 in the afternoon. It's currently about 5 Celsius outside, and I'm at Dufferin subway station. And I'm going to be heading up onto Dufferin Street and making my way south along Dufferin Street with a walkthrough of Dufferin Mall along the way. So we'll cut through the mall and then I'll continue on walking south down Dufferin down to King Street. So we'll be walking on a good chunk of Dufferin as it passes through the west side of Old Toronto. And it's been a while since I've done a walkthrough of Dufferin Mall, so we'll see what's new there. And I'm not sure why, but the subway was absolutely jam-packed as I made my way from Dundas Station over here to Dufferin. Both Line 1 and Line 2 were standing room only in most of the way. Alright, so we're at Bloor and Dufferin, so let's begin our trek south here. You can see all the way down to Yonge and Bloor off in the distance. So fairly mild today, but there is a bit of a cold wind, making it feel somewhat cooler than 5 degrees. And this is a major new project going on here at the corner where some high-rise towers will be constructed. Here's a former school, the Kent School. It's being incorporated into the development. Another high school on that location was demolished, but a new school building is being built elsewhere on the property, just in a different location. See, it's a pretty large footprint here of this development. There'll be multiple buildings, as well as some retail and commercial. And the 29 Dufferin bus, jokingly called the Sufferin Dufferin. And we've come upon the Dufferin Mall. So I'm going to go to the northernmost end of the mall and walk through from that end. And I thought there was a Taco Bell here. Maybe it's still there and I didn't notice. I noticed the KFC. But for the longest time, there was a Taco Bell located there. One of the only Taco Bells left in the old city of Toronto. I think there's one location downtown at College Park. And I noticed another one is opening up soon in the food court at Union Station. But as far as I know, those are the only ones. And I used to go to the Taco Bell over there, if it's still there, quite often, as my sister lives nearby. And when I first moved to Toronto, I was staying at her place quite a bit until I got settled. So this mall sits on the site of a former horse racing track. That's why you find this sort of suburban style shopping mall plopped down in an otherwise old pre-war part of the city. Because after the horse racing track closed down, the property was redeveloped into a open air shopping plaza around 1957. And it remained that way until 1973 when it was converted into this enclosed shopping mall. And over the years, the mall has gone through lots of changes. And it didn't have the best reputation at times either. I think by the 1990s it had become known as a sort of hangout for rowdy teenagers. And it acquired the not so complimentary nickname of the Dirty Duff. But then, by the 2000s, the mall made an effort to do some renovations and become a more pleasant shopping experience for people in the neighborhood. And I think they did a good job, because now it doesn't have any of that old Dirty Duff aura about it anymore, as far as I'm concerned. It's rather healthy and very family friendly. Here's the large Winners. Winners is sort of like TJ Maxx to Americans. It's owned by the same company. So just walk through. The mall is basically a long rectangular concourse, and then with another shorter concourse at the end, sort of like an L shape. And over here there's a Toys R Us, one of the last Toys R Us locations still operating in the central city. And it's a fair-sized store. A short diversion, but you can't not show Toys R Us. And I rarely come here nowadays, but when I first moved to Toronto, as I mentioned, along with the Taco Bell, I would spend a lot of time hanging out here at the Dufferin Mall also, especially on cold winter days when I just wanted to get out and have a place to warm up and wander around in for a while. So this mall is 567,000 square feet in size. And it has a large Walmart store, a two-level Walmart store. I believe that used to be a Wolco, which is a now defunct Canadian department store chain. Wolco was bought out by Walmart in the early 1990s, and all Wolco stores were converted to Walmarts. So this is definitely a very mid-level mall. There's not much in the way of any luxury retailers. But as you can see, it's busy and healthy. Not many vacancies. No hint of the former Dirty Duff from back in the day. I recently did a walk through the Stone Road Mall in Guelph, and I remarked in that video that it reminded me of this mall because they're similar in size and similar in layout and in selection of stores. This one is a lot busier though. When I was at Stone Road Mall, it was pretty quiet at the time anyway. And here's the food courts. That's the end of this concourse. It's actually a decent food court. I spent a fair amount of time hanging out here too. That was back in 2010. And it hasn't changed much since then. Here's the other shorter concourse as we go around the L of the mall. A Gap factory store. You don't see too many Gap stores at all these days. And there's also a grocery store and no frills. We'll see that in a moment. A large Mark store. And this is just a single level mall, if you haven't already figured that out. There's the no frills. That's a discount supermarket. Let's see if I can get up a map of the mall here. Center map. So there we go. So we got the LCBO, Winners, Toys R Us, H&M, Walmart, No Frills, and Marshalls as the main anchors of the mall. And I guess technically there is a bit of a lower level where the Marshalls is located, but pretty much the entirety of the mall is just this one level I walk through. And I think there's around 120 stores altogether. And Marshalls in Canada is pretty much the same as Marshalls in the US. And that was it. Doesn't take too long to walk through the no longer dirty Duff. But it was pretty busy, very active. My sister comes here often. She just lives across the park here. That's Dufferin Grove Park. So it's just a quick 5-minute walk to my sister's house. So let's continue on along Dufferin Street, heading south. This is just a busy arterial road. Mostly residential with these old semi-detached homes and some row houses. And occasional stretches of commercial storefronts, but not that many. Most of the commercial strips run perpendicular to Dufferin Street along College and Dundas and Queen and King. But the surrounding residential neighborhoods are quite lovely here, and the homes are quite expensive. It's a very family-oriented neighborhood. If you were to find a nice, fully detached home, you're paying upwards of $2 million. Along Dufferin itself, though, it has a bit more of a gritty, lived-in look. The homes aren't quite as well kept, I think, as on the more residential streets within the neighborhood. Crossing College. Little Italy is to the east there. And we're sort of coming into part of Little Portugal here. Once we cross Dundas, we'll be pretty much in the heart of Little Portugal. See, the homes here are mostly attached housing and not much in the way of yards. And no driveways either. This is a pretty urban built up stretch here. Some nice row houses. Fisher Street. That makes me think of my hometown. There's a major street in North Bay by the same name. That's interesting. And we're coming up to Dundas Street. Another commercial retail strip. Kind of interesting seeing the back of the retail buildings here. So a much more gritty look. There's a great view of the financial district looking east along Dundas here as you cross the intersection. I'll try to get a shot of that. This will be one of the times when the zoom on the camera comes in handy. Maybe I'll cross to the other side. So Well, we're firmly in Little Portugal. There's the 505 Dundas. It's heading to Dundas West subway station. All right. Let's see if I can get that shot without the streetcar blocking it too much. And there it is. You can see First Canadian Place, Scotia Plaza, and several other major office towers. Lots of people out and about today. Got some Bay and Gable style homes here. That's Toronto's unique housing vernacular. You'll see similar homes scattered all throughout the old city. Definitely not the prettiest street in the city, but I find it interesting. You would expect more commercial storefronts, though, on a street like this than there are. This neighborhood, though, does retain a lot of its old school neighborhood corner stores, which is nice to see. Alexander Muir Public School and the Grove Community School. Both schools seem to share the same building. TC Video Productions. For all your video needs. I wonder if that's the place where you can bring old VHS tapes and they will transfer them onto DVDs for you. If you need coffee, follow that arrow. There's a smaller arrow on this end. I guess you have to go right there on the end. There it is. Now you know where to go if you ever need coffee while walking along this stretch of Dufferin Street. And some new mid-rise developments here.
Should we go look at?
Now, Dufferin Street used to end right here due to the rail corridor, but over 10 years ago they constructed this underpass to allow the street to continue on. There was the other section of Dufferin Street continuing on the other side of the rail corridor, but they were not connected, so now they are. What a curious little home this is here. I wonder if it's occupied. Doesn't really look like it. A bit of a break from the wind here. And we're approaching Queen Street. That's looking west into the Parkdale neighborhood along Queen. Dufferin is the boundary separating Parkdale from the West Queen West neighborhood, which is to the east. And Parkdale is a very interesting neighborhood. I'll be sure to do another walk through there again in the near future. Quite bustling today. I know I've already mentioned that once or twice. Joe Shuster Way. The famous comedy team Wayne and Shuster. And I can see the wind turbine up ahead is in full swing right now. It's a good day for it. I don't know if that will show up very well in the video or not. For King. I think there's some rerouting going on with the streetcar lines in the area. Because King Street is up ahead. And that streetcar was definitely not going along King here. Residential building on the rise on the corner of King and Dufferin. That used to be a single-story shopping plaza. That wasn't much to look at, but it did have one really good restaurant called Island Foods that I would often go to. So it was just sad to see Island Foods go, but luckily they reopened sometime later not too far away on Gladstone. And there used to be a notoriously sketchy McDonald's where that condo now sits. So we're at King and Dufferin. So I'm going to start to wrap up the walk here. And if you still have a hankering for fast food, there's still a Wendy's here. And who knows what will open in the retail spaces at the bottom of that condo. Maybe another McDonald's will move in. So I hope you enjoyed the walk along Dufferin Street, starting from Dufferin subway station. And we made our way south and we took a little tour through the Dufferin Mall. And then re-emerged and continued south here to King and Dufferin. Kind of a gritty stretch here on the west side of Old Toronto. So I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Have you ever been to the formerly dirty Duff back in the day? And how does it look now in comparison? And also make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so via the links in the description to my PayPal or by becoming a channel member. You can also support the channel by sending a super thanks. So thanks for watching, and thanks to the channel members. And be sure to keep checking back because, as always, I will continue.